What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and on today's video I want to talk about running form. Specifically I want to talk about bad running form, because bad running form is a lot more fun to talk about than good running form. And let's be honest, there are probably a lot more of us with bad running form than those of us with good running form. Although that is totally debatable, and that's the reason I want to talk to you about bad running form. But first, this is the weekly running and training vlog, where the main purpose of this video is for you to tell me about your week of running. I want to hear about your successes, and I definitely want to hear about those setbacks. But first, running form. I know you know what bad running form looks like. You know it when you see it. But I came across an article in sportcoaching.co.nz, and of course I will link to that article in the show notes below. And the article is titled, "What does bad running form look like? A complete guide." And I thought, you know who wants to hear about bad running form? People who watch me on YouTube. And guys, I am going to be the first one to say it, but I know that I have pretty poor running form. My right leg kind of points out when I run. I shuffle a bit, and there are times that I go through phases of worse running form than others. But I'll kind of fill you in on those when we go through the list. Okay, so let's get started with what's a good running form. It's something we all know when we see it, but a proper running form is a posture that keeps your body in a straight line. And that straight line is between your lower leg, your thigh, your pelvis, your trunk, your neck, your head. They're all sort of stacked on top of each other, creating a straight line. And because running works against gravity, you may find that your body needs to be neutrally tilted, just a bit forward. Maybe not all the time, but some of the time you're probably going to find you are leaning very slightly forward. So perhaps you don't know that you have bad running form. I suppose that's pretty normal. That's a normal expectation. If you just go out and run and you don't know what good running form is, how would you know if your running form is good or bad? Well, here are some signs. If you find yourself getting injured all the time, could be a sign of poor running form. If you find that certain muscle groups are getting very easily fatigued, well, that could also be a sign that your running form is bad. And when I say your running form, we're not talking about all-encompassing running form. We're probably talking about one specific aspect of it. If you find that your efficiency is decreasing, so perhaps you're running at the same pace but you have a high heart rate, could be a sign of bad running form. It could also be a sign of lots of other things, like maybe you didn't get enough sleep the night before, but that's not what this video is about. And remember, a couple weeks ago we were talking about the wear on the bottom of your running shoes. Well, if you find that your left and right shoe have different wear patterns, that could be a sign of bad running form. And guys, just so you know, this is supposed to be a discussion. I want to hear about your experiences with a bad running form. So please, don't be shy, let me know. Drop a comment if you know there is a certain part of your running form, your stride, your arm carriage, that just is a little off. And it doesn't take a scientist to know why good running form is fairly important. And basically we can take it back to the first sign that you have bad running form, and that is if you're getting injured. If you have good running form, it's going to prevent injuries. It's going to help distribute the load across the muscles and the tendons. And when you have bad running form, maybe when you're out of alignment, so one side is doing more work than the other, it can place a bit more stress on that side of the body that's doing a bit more work. And that can lead to overuse injuries and other stuff, although can't think of any other stuff that it would lead to, but definitely overuse injuries. Let's go through a quick top 10 list of signs that you have bad running form, and it might be something to keep an eye on. Number 1, neck pain while running. Number 2, side-to-side motion of your head. Number 3, your hips or your quads are regularly fatigued. Number 4, your breathing feels restricted on easy or recovery runs. Number 5, reoccurring soreness of specific muscles. Not sure I agree with that one. I know that when I go out for a long run or I go out for speed work, the same sort of muscles start to get a bit sore, like maybe my glutes and my hammies, my quads get a bit thrashed. Well, actually that's not really for me to disagree with. Perhaps I just have bad running form. Anyway, moving on. You've got constant pain in your neck, your back, your hips, shoulder pain while running, pain in your forefoot while running, tight hand grip while running, and shoulders that aren't relaxed. Although you know what? That shoulders that aren't relaxed is pretty much the same thing as shoulder pain while running, because if your shoulders aren't relaxed, you are going to get a bit of pain, and you know what I'm talking about. When we get tired, we start to kind of bunch up our shoulders a little bit, and our arm carriage is a little higher, and basically you are constricting those muscles on your back, and it can be very painful. I know that I've been there a lot. So I find, like a lot of us when we're running, we just want to kind of shake out our arms, we kind of punch down to the ground, and that loosens up the back and it resets your arm carriage. So if you're struggling with shoulder pain, with upper back pain when you're running, try that. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You know, just kind of punch down to the ground like this. Everybody get up and try it right now. There you go, now you know what I'm talking about. Other signs of a dodgy running form are tilting your head back when you're running. And I know this sounds really crazy, but I'm telling you, when we get tired in a race, it's very easy to just kind of put our head back and keep running. And what we're doing is we're taking our whole body off balance, and you're shifting the center of mass back a bit. And when you put your head back, that is going to promote overstriding, and it's going to bring more force on your heel as it touches the ground. We already talked about running with tight hands, and that's a pretty normal thing too, especially when we get tired. We start to really grip our hands while we're running, especially if we're running hard. So what I like to do is to rub rub my finger and my thumb together just like this. And basically, when you're doing this, it is virtually impossible to have tight hands. So again, join me now. Rub your forefingers and your thumb together just like this, and try it when you're out for a run. It'll just help loosen up those hands. Now, I think this next one is probably a pretty big part of poor running form, especially for new runners, and that's overstriding. Now, maybe you haven't experienced this, but as someone that is taller than the average person at 6'7", I get a lot of comments like, well, of course you like running. You only have to take 2 steps to my 20 steps. So they're implying that because my legs are a little longer than normal, I can take bigger steps. And that indicates that a lot of people think that by taking bigger steps, you are going to run faster. It's like they think running is just an exercise in bounding, but it's not. And when you overstride, you're actually putting more impact forces all the way through your body. And I always like to use this example when I'm talking about overstriding. So imagine that you could only take 1 step every mile. Okay, I know, pretty extreme already, but imagine you can only take 1 step per mile. Think how high you would have to jump in order to take that stride. It'd be pretty high, right? And because you are striding so high in order to cover that mile in each step, you're going to be falling a long way before you put the next step down. And during that falling phase, as you're coming towards the ground, you're probably going to be reaching terminal velocity, and then you hit the ground and you take off for the next step to cover the next mile. Well, clearly, hitting the ground after you have been falling a long way is going to put a lot of impact forces into your body. Now, if you take smaller steps, your impact forces are going to be lower because you're not covering as much distance. You're not getting as much vertical oscillation in your steps. That makes sense? I think that was a little extreme. Anyway, I hope you know what I'm saying. Another indicator of poor running form is when your knees are collapsing inwards, and it can lead to loads of injuries and add stress to the knees, to the hips, to the feet. And then of course we've got other things that can cause injuries to the knees, to the hips, to the feet. That's things like pelvis rotation, hip rotation, tibia external rotation, and pronation, or overpronation. Pronation in itself is normal. And this can lead to things like plantar fasciitis, shin splints, regular shin pain, lower back pain, and of course knee injuries from twisting that knee. And how can you fix it? Well, practice makes perfect, but also with your knees collapsing inwards, strength training is what it's all about. Strength training is the fountain of youth, and it will make you a better runner. But if you don't have a coach watching you and seeing how you run to identify any deficiencies, you could always set up a camera. Set up a camera, record yourself running, and then slow it down. And your running deficiencies will be front and center for all to see. As someone that posts a lot of slow motion running footage, I am always smacked in the face with my poor running form. So guys, let me know. Let me know if you have experienced any poor running form, or I should say, let me know which part of your running form you think could use a little bit of work. That sounds like a better question. And guys, nobody's perfect. We've all got something that we could work on. And if you don't feel comfortable telling me about some of your running form deficiencies, take a look at some of my videos and pick something out about my running form that you can pick on. Don't worry about hurting my feelings. I've got thick skin. And with that, I had a pretty good week of running last week. Started off on Monday with 10.2 miles. Very easy. I was at Lido Key. And then when I got back from that 10.2 miles, I changed shoes and I went out for another mile just to get a little bit of run footage. Basically, I changed into those Hoka Mach 5s and I wanted to run on the beach and get some splashy running shots. And it turned out pretty well. And on Tuesday was my workout day. I had 800s on the schedule and I ran a total of 10.1 miles, and that 10.1 miles comprised of 4 miles to warm up, then 6 800s with 400 meters recovery in between. I think it was 1.75 miles to cool down. Guys, we've had some hot weather lately. It was boiling on that run. I was absolutely soaked through and I was knackered drinking all day long. But the good thing is that Wednesday was my day off this week. So I got a little bit of recovery time. So you would have thought that after my rest day on Wednesday, I would have been really recovered to go out and crush it on Thursday. Thursday is usually my second workout day of the week. I usually knock out a tempo run, and I did that this week. And I knocked out 8 miles in total with 2 miles to warm up, 4 miles at tempo in the middle, and then 2 miles to cool down. But here's the thing. I kind of set out thinking that I was going to do more than just 4 miles at tempo pace. But I hate to admit it, it was just hard, you know what I'm saying? And I decided that, I don't have any races coming up. 4 miles is good enough. You know how it goes, you start negotiating with yourself, and that's what I did. Usually I can overcome that, but this week, no. So 4 miles at tempo, I don't know. I'm not disappointed, I just didn't feel like going more than that. And then Friday was another easy day, 10.2 miles, very easy, just going out and logging that time on my feet. And then the weekend rolled around, and on Saturday I went out and I met up with a group and I knocked out 11.17 miles. Now, Saturday was supposed to be my long run of the week, but included in that 11.17 miles was a lot of ups and downs. And it was 95% on trails, out of the celery fields, which is like a man-made hill. And guys, I got to tell you, by the end of that 11.17 miles, I was absolutely knackered. And again, I'm not complaining. that I didn't meet my original goal, because even though I didn't run as far as I wanted, I ran with a higher intensity than I expected to. So I figured that kind of balanced itself out. So all in all, that run on Saturday was actually really good. It was a nice chance to mix things up on the trails. You know how I do on the roads, like 99.9% of my runs are all on the road. So it was really nice to go and hit the trails, get some ups, get some downs, and run with some other people. And then Sunday rolled around, the last day of my week, and I knocked out 12 miles, and I did go out and I ran with a group. We ran from downtown Sarasota all the way out to Lido Key, and I gotta say my legs were pretty sore from that hill run the day before. And I was pretty glad to stop running. Luckily or unluckily, depending on how you look at it, I've got a lower running week next week just because of my work schedule, and I am actually looking forward to running a little less. But all in all, pretty good week. My total running volume was 62.74 miles, which is about 101 kilometers. So yeah, no complaints. It's nice being tired. It's nice being tired from running. Alright guys, don't forget to let me know about your week of running. Let me know about any bad running form habits that you have. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.